It would be just like him to come up with a story of this kind and then expect everyone to find it funny. The strongest clue, in my opinion, was that he hadn't called the police yet, and that he didn't notice the colored €50 note while counting the donations. Maybe he'd even put the note in my basket himself, and the matching footprints had been a coincidence. In the end, I just hoped that we were hunting an actual thief and not just a fantasy my old father had come up with for our entertainment. Otherwise, I would have to yell at him a lot. What was he thinking, telling us stories that would eventually lead us to sneaking out in the middle of the night? It was shocking how irresponsible some parents were. Meanwhile, we'd reached the cellar, and I was sourly tempted to warn my two friends we might just be chasing one of my dad's fairy tales. But Kai seemed convinced and optimistic enough that he would actually catch a thief tonight for me to keep my mouth shut. Our thief donating one of the notes, lectured Kai, leads to the conclusion that he likely still keeps the other one somewhere in his house. If we find that note and ideally the shoe that matches the profile we found, then we'll have near absolute certainty that we found the thief. Nice, I added my thoughts. I wish it could actually be that easy. We maneuvered a few boxes beneath the coal hatch and climbed out into the cold night. Everything was snowed in, and we had to fight quite a bit until we were actually standing outside. In that moment, I longed deeply for my warm and cozy bed, but Kai shoved Louise and me forward after he'd pulled us out from the hatch. Multiple street lights illuminated the street. We left the parsonage's backyard and turned towards the Ziegler's driveway. And just how do you think we're going to get into the house? I asked with chattering teeth. Well, stuttered Kai, evidently proud of himself, I saw a key in the boiler room door when we walked back home yesterday. And then I saw them getting into a car and driving off, maybe visiting relatives over Christmas. They must have forgotten the key in the lock. The car is still missing, the windows are dark, meaning the house is empty, and we have a way to get in. Props to your observational skills, I said sharply, because I would have almost preferred it if we hadn't found a way into the house and could have just gone back to sleep. But Kai had been right, the key was still there. He turned it a little, and we could enter the boiler room. At least it was warm. Wait, the door, don't let it close, Kai tried to say, but Louise, likely in an attempt to cut off the cold, had already let it snap shut. Oh no, grumbled Kai, and shone his flashlight onto the doorknob. He tried it, and quickly realized that he couldn't open the door from the inside. The key was the only way to get in and out, and just that key was currently stuck on the outside. What now? Asked Kai, clearly out of his depth as soon as it came to accidentally locking himself in a stranger's house. The Zieglers have a back door, I said. I knew this because I had once observed the Zieglers from our bathroom window. Well, then I guess we should start looking for that door first, said Kai, who did seem a little intimidated by the whole situation. It was uncanny to walk through a dark house with Kai's small flashlight as our only light source. We dared to throw in a concern. Didn't this make us thieves ourselves? We're definitely housebreakers by now, I said. Not even that, laughed Kai. We didn't break in, we simply took advantage of a forgotten key like we're a bunch of intruders at worst. We followed a narrow staircase through a small door and reached a modern-looking live-in kitchen with a door leading into the front yard. The door had 4 rectangular windows that let the light from the street lights in. We'd found the door we had looked for more swiftly than expected. Kai let out an impressed whistle before I got the chance to see if I could open it from the inside. He had been idly shining his flashlight over the picture and postcard-covered walls of the kitchen until the light cone came to a halt in the middle of the room. We looked there as soon as we heard Kai's whistle. A letter from the East German lottery informing them that they won 20,000 euro. That's what we got from the piece of paper tacked onto the wall. Well, I concluded in a good mood, because I hadn't liked to think of the friendly Zieglers as our thief. I guess we'll have to cross another suspect off our list. That leaves, Kai announced proudly, Mr. Pfadbaum as the only remaining suspect. As soon as we get out of here, we'll hike up to whatever little shack he lives in and arrest him. We're three and he's all on his own. What's he gonna do? Besides that, we know what he did. I wasn't quite convinced, neither by Kai's certainty that we'd actually found our burglar, Mr. Pfadbaum, nor by his determination to go visit him right now. In fact, I felt like we'd had enough adventure for one night, even though I really didn't want to get in the way of his enthusiasm. I found a simple bolt on the door and pushed it back before opening the door itself. Chapter 18, in which I lived through a pretty terrible scare. Then I almost died of shock. A monstrous, shaggy creature rose up before my eyes, digging sharply clawed paws into my shoulder. I could smell the dog beast's foul breath before a terribly wet tongue swiped over my entire face. I squeaked, barely having contained myself from screaming out loud. I realized just in time that I wasn't being attacked by a monster or a bear, but instead by Maika, the Ziegler's giant but friendly farm dog that I had been friends with for almost as long as my dad had lived in Mitchell. That explained why she hadn't started barking the second we entered the Ziegler's property, and I'd simply forgotten that she existed until now. I gently patted her large head until she jumped back onto the ground and let herself be pet by Kai and Louisa as well. We closed the back door as soon as we all stepped out of the house. I was still shaking from the shock and told Kai, I don't think I can go and face Mr. Pfadbaum right now. Right now, I need to go inside, wash my face, and use the bathroom. Well, all right, said Kai patronizingly. We could try and get something to eat as well. Mecca accompanied us to the courtyard gate. We tried to close it properly, but the bolt had gotten stuck a little, so that all we could do was hope that it would still suffice to keep her inside. We groveled a little, but didn't attempt to open the gate, so we assumed it would be fine.